Really cool race, the most spectator-friendly swim run that I've been a part of, and the one that's like, if you really want if you want your family to kind of see what swim running is all about, like this one just gives it to you in spades. Awesome race, awesome course marking, everything was great. Aid station was great. Top marks for Ötillö, Lars, Aaron, JR, and the whole crew who, that part of it was flawless, I thought.
Yeah, I agree. I had a blast. It was beautiful. Even if they don't do the race again, it'd be awesome just to even do like a training weekend up there. It's just perfect for just kind of going and hanging out.
Welcome to the Low Tide Boys, a swim run podcast. I'm Chip.
And I'm Chris,
Yeah, I'm John.
and this is episode 295 of the show. You heard the little rock flute in the background? That can only mean one thing. We have a race report for you. John and I race as Team Musubi and Mofongo at last weekend's Ötillö Mackinac Island. What ended up being like the last edition, ... hopefully not, of this race. It was the fourth year they did it. John is from Michigan. We decided to do a race together. He's one of my best friends. Done a lot of endurance activities together, crewed him at races and whatnot. So we're like, hey, this is the one to have you on. But we haven't had you on the show since episode 110. So how are you, John?
I'm great. A lot has changed since then. It was really awesome to race in my home state. So let's go.
John had an honorable mention during our Big Alta race report. John and some other friends came down and did Big Alta 50K earlier this year in
That's right.
March.
In March,
You may
yeah.
have heard John's name in this year's episodes at some point.
That's true.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I have a lot of thoughts about this race. And in fact, we're talking before we started recording, like Chipper, like I was intentionally not trying to talk to you.
You're avoiding me.
It was hard. I still had to give you some stuff. So when I saw you, I had to give you sort of like the high level stuff. But there was so much to discuss. I gave my wife my race report last night, and that sort of brought up a lot of thoughts. And I think, you know, for John and I to do this race together, it's really like, we've been friends for a super long time. I officiated his wedding. He's the godfather of my daughter. There's just a lot of points of interconnectedness.
Mhm.
And this race allowed us for me to essentially do something that I really love doing, obviously, and something that John kind of got into because of me loving it. And it turns out this was actually my 25th swim run. So, what's that, silver anniversary or something like that? And to do it at Mackinac was actually super fun. So, getting there, we had an interesting journey because I essentially flew to Grand Rapids, hung out with John's parents, who are lovely, and waiting for his wife to fly in later that day. And then we drove up to Mackinac, which from where we were was like a 4 hour drive, but we made it work with a 15-month-old. It was great. And yeah, basically stayed in Mackinac City across the bridge, went to Packet Pickup. Everything was cool. Packet Pickup was great. And then a good buddy of ours, of everyone on this show, Mark
Yeah.
Belozos, you know, incomparable guy. He basically got a hall pass to come up and spend the weekend with us. So we had essentially our own like documentarian, which again, you'll be hearing this a lot. This race is probably the most family friendly, spectator friendly swim run. I mean, no, it is the most that I've ever been to, that I've ever participated in.
Mm.
It was really easy. Like we kept seeing the same family members all throughout the course, and it was just a gem of event. Now, I have to say though, Chipper, and you got some of this too. Like we got a lot of unsolicited advice from people. So like Hugh Bowman, a lot of folks were kind of giving us like, hey, this is what you need to know about this race.
Yeah.
Appreciated all of that, but I have to give a special shout out to friend of the show, super intern in charge of special projects, Dave Dammer, who was like, I was like, you did this race. He's like, have fun. It's gonna be great. I'm like, give me your tips. He's like, hey, clean your shoes afterwards because there's a lot of horse shit everywhere. And I'm like, all right, okay, noted.
Wow.
There was a lot of horse shit. Basically after the race, I asked him, I was like, dude, we got second. It's awesome. I'm stoked. And there was so much horse shit. And so he sends this joke that I just have to share. I want to give attribution. So Dave, this was super funny. Dave was like, Ötillö, poop swim, Mackinac Island, hold my fudge. Because there was shit everywhere, dude. Like the whole island smelled like horse shit. In all stages of decomposition, fresh steamers to like basically like the wind, the rain is kind of washing it off. John, I don't know
Wow.
about you, but at some point you just like,
It's a lot of poop.
you just embrace it. But it was a lot of poop.
I think you also have to share a little bit of background. Mackinac is known for their fudge, by the way, right?
That's fair
So
enough.
there's a
And
connection there. But
horses.
yeah,
You
and
mean
horse,
you
yeah.
mean this fudge?
Oh, I don't know about
Ooh.
you, but they were at TSA. They took it out of the bag. They made me open it. They made me take the fudge out and show the bottom of the box. They
Yeah.
were like, before they even opened it, they were like, I see you have
What?
fudge. Yeah, no,
I
they knew
think,
I had fudge.
dude, same
They're
thing to
trying to
me.
get a
And I was
sample?
like, I guess it looks like C4 because it looks like
That
plastique.
makes
You know what I'm
sense.
talking about? Because it was heavy. It's expensive and it was heavy, and my kids were happy. So, mission accomplished, I guess. But yeah, lots of fudge and horse poop. Like
Yeah,
those were, but also, I must say, it was a pretty cool island.
yeah.
Once it got over the horse poop, I mean, that was just a feature of it. But like the views were awesome. Like the fact there was no cars. I
Mhm.
mean, Mackinac certainly had a lot going for it. Certainly felt had like a little Disneyland downtown type vibe.
Mhm.
And I don't know where you want to start with the race report, Chipper, but I'll let you kind of like
Here, let me
get
take
your
this
questions
ship
answered.
over. I will say, we haven't done this race before. Mackinac Island was certainly a race that a lot of people told us they're like, this is such a great family event. The course is really cool, very unique, but just a great weekend and kind of family event. And that's very much how it's been positioned with us. And it sounds like that's been confirmed. And yeah, to sort of kick the race report off, obviously, you know, John, Chris, and myself, we go way back 10, 12 plus over years now. And John's always been one of those guys in our training group that, hey, we got a dumb idea to do one weekend. You can count on John to be there, whether that be a crazy bike ride or some crazy trail run. So I knew, Chris, that you and John would always be a good swim run pair. And I'm glad that you two got to take this on, especially in John's home state. And as you mentioned, Chris, John, you have a 15-month-old. So, you know, robust endurance training calendar and full night's sleep are maybe a thing of the not a thing of the past, I guess, for this one. How prepped did you feel kind of going into it, and what was your team goals going in? Is kind of how we start our shows.
Well, I think that if there's one thing that you can count on me, I will tell you how fit I am. And typically it's less fit than you. So Chris and I were talking about the fact that I was trying to count how many swims I'd done in preparation for this. And the last swim run I did was Worlds in Sweden. I probably have done 10 swims since then, 2 years.
In 2 years?
Yeah.
No.
Another fun fact, wetsuit, pull buoy, paddles, all three, first time I was racing with all three. So I was breaking all the rules, but I felt good. Chris and I were very honest with each other. We know that he's going to be pulling me along in the swims. The run, especially since they're broken up, it's not a super long race for World Series distances. I felt pretty confident that throughout the run I would be able to keep up, push it a little bit. It's hard to really be prepared for the stairs, but I felt good. And I was just excited, honestly. And my son Nico was more excited than Chris and I because he decided to wake up real early race morning.
He
And
was ready
oh my
to,
gosh,
he was ready to, he
Before
was
the
fired up.
alarm clocks.
Yeah, no, he was like, "What's
3:45?
happening in here?" He's like, "There's a
Ooh.
lot of nervous energy in this room." Yeah, and I will say, John, to your point, yes, we were really open about it. In my mind, I had some ideas of like, "Hey, I think we can do this in 4 hours. That would mean we're moving at kind of this pace. I can certainly pull that on the swims." And I think what was important to us was more like, less of the outcome goal and more like, a little bit of outcome goal, which was like, "Hey, we're just not trying to be out here all day. Like, let's give it what
Yeah.
we have." But also lean more on what we've talked on the show before, like a values goal, which was just like, hey, I'm doing this thing that I really love with one of my best friends, which is, I have to say, I've done 22 of these things with my other best friend, right? So it's kind of cool to mix it up in this way and share
Yeah.
this experience, knowing that in many ways, I'm showing John, I'm showing you kind of like, hey, this is how I do it. Or
Mhm.
this is how Chipper and I have done it. So let's just go and have fun and see what we come out with. And I think that attitude kind of overlaid with the fact that we're just like extremely close, like we love each other, like we're extremely close friends, made for this. It was really like the best example of the best part of the sport, which is the team aspect, which is like, hey, we're going on this adventure together, buddy. Like, let's see what happens. And that was kind of the attitude. And Chipper, and for us, it's like second nature. But getting to do
Yeah.
it with John for the first time, it kind of reminded me, it's like, yeah, like that was what it always was for us. Is like, we're at Orcas is like, let's go, buddy, right? Or we're
Yeah.
wherever, we're like, let's go, buddy. And that approach, I think, like I felt it the entire day for sure.
Well, and it
Not
helped that Mark was basically at every entrance or exit. So we knew that we were going to be seeing a friend, which is kind of different. I've never
yeah.
done a swim run like this.
I think like Mark being there, and so we stayed in Mackinac City. We took the early ferry. He got on the early ferry with us. We go to the dock and we're kind of waiting for the race to start. Some announcements. At one point, I did have to tell Chipper this story sort of offline that Lars is doing sort of pre-race announcements and stuff like that. And Aaron, who's like, this is basically his race, his state, this is his baby. He runs up Lars and is kind of like trying to get his attention. And it was like he just had, he was just so excited. And he was like, everybody turn around. And there
Yep.
was this amazing, amazing sunset. You've probably seen the
Sunrise.
pictures. Yeah, sunrise. The pictures really kind of don't do it justice. It was extremely majestic. And as far as a race start, like the
Picturesque.
coolest, the photos have been great. And I'm sure like Aaron, once the photos come out from like Aaron, these things are going to be nuts because he was just like, I mean, he was like in photographer heaven or something.
And honestly, like we would have never known. Like it's literally directly behind us. Who looks behind you when you're about to start a race?
Yeah,
I'm
no,
really
for
glad
sure.
that Aaron called it out because that was cool. That was special.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Right before the race started, poured rain for like 5 minutes. Mark is like, hey, it's Michigan. Just give it 5 minutes. It'll be fine. He was right.
Wow. It's always great having a friendly face around, and it sounds like the sort of spectator friendliness of the course really, it sounded like every swim entrance and exit, he was right there. Maybe he rented a bike and was able to just kind of go around. But there is
Mhm.
something kind of, you just kind of get a little bit of a lift if that's your friend, or you see a funny sign when you're running a marathon. There's something about it that lifts you up and helps propel you along. And, Mark's a great guy. So that was really awesome that he
Yeah.
got to come out there and watch you two stumble
Yeah.
around the island
It
there.
it changes the dynamic. It reminds me of my first swim run when we did Orcas and our buddy Tommy, right? So Tommy was all
Yeah.
over the place too, kind of taking
Yeah.
video pictures. It's hard to like be unhappy when your friend is just going nuts to see you and just taking
Yeah.
pictures and
Oh, and
videos.
of
And just,
course, if you have to know Mark. There's a little bit inside baseball. To know Mark, he's telling us what legs are coming up next because he got
yeah,
it on his phone. He's like,
Yeah.
okay, you got a 2 mile run, and then you're gonna have like a 600. So he was not just there to support us. Like he's like, how can I be of service? Let me drive 4 hours to hang out with these two dudes and just follow them around,
Yep.
and then give us, like lunch recommendations afterwards. I mean, the dude's a gem. The dude's a
Beautiful.
gem.
mhm,
Yeah. So it was great. It was great. I,
So
I
you
agree.
all,
Cool feature for sure.
you had the mindset, hey, we've done training days. Now we got to do a race together. We're going to have a great time out there. Not super concerned about how long it's going to take you. You don't want to dilly dally out there, but you're trying to get it done. So you had the right mindset. You had a great sunrise to start it off.
yep.
And then I think the course, one thing I do know about it is that it's amazing ocean swims. You're swimming
Lake.
kind of parallel
Big lake swims.
lake,
Yeah.
lake. They're great.
Yeah.
The lake swims are great.
Yes.
They
They
go right
really are.
across. So,
Uh,
Chris, as this season's been turned upside on its head, you're Mr. I lead the swim guy. I lead the swims now.
Yeah,
John,
well,
how did you
it's
feel
kind
about
of
this?
annoying that every time I've strayed from a main homie, it requires me doing so much more work. But yeah, I mean, I've certainly been getting a lot of confidence in leading the swims, which I think helps sort of like the main low tide boys operation we have. Leading all the swims at Whistler was extremely confidence building, and then doing it in Austin with Viv as well. Kind of was like I can do this, and John and I talked
Yeah.
about it a little bit. I'm like, hey, this is a pace I'm going to hold. I'm basically going to hold whatever pace I think I can maintain. And you let me know if you need to slow it down, but I'm basically trying to get us through this. And that was kind of the attitude, like kind of checking in and stuff, shorten the tether a little bit, like after the first swim, doing these things to kind of get, it's like, well, knowing that John is undercooked on the swim or undertrained on the swim, and I'm just like undertrained, like in general, because I'm still, have still a little bit injured with my back, that it was really about like, okay, what's going to be like our all day pace? How many matches am I going to have kind of like ready to go? And that was basically the attitude in terms of, like I didn't have any fear of leading all the swims. It was more like, okay, like how quickly can we get through these?
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
It, it was the first time where I've swam so close to somebody too. Like with Addison and I, we never really dialed in the tether as well as you guys have. So I was hitting his toes quite a bit. It also was confidence inducing in a lot of ways. Didn't feel like I was being dragged, even if I was at times. especially on some of those rough ones, man. Like there
Yeah,
was a
I mean,
couple of swims that felt like we were in the ocean.
yeah, I mean, certainly, I mean, we'll do like a leg by leg thing, but yeah,
Mhm.
but I think, yeah, I think like, and we did the lay down test in the in the
Nice.
hotel, making sure it was good. I was like, all right, we
Yep.
tighten a little bit and sort of let him know it's like, yeah, tapping on my feet's fine. It's not going to annoy me. Like, just let me know you're there. I don't mind it at all. I know Chipper, you don't mind it. Like, it's nice to know that I'm like right there on you. And yeah, so I think our approach, and I knew he wasn't going to be doing a lot of sighting. I was like, dude, just put your head down, and go. And he just like 100% just confidence. Also, the swims in terms of sighting, in theory, were pretty easy because they're all along the coast. Every swim is counterclockwise. You're basically going out into the water deep enough so you can swim, bang a left, and then take a left somewhere and get out. Um, However, in reality, it was much harder because there was this interesting swell, and because it's like lake swell, it's not like a reef where you know where the wave is coming every time. It was just kind of like very washing machiney, especially towards the
Mm,
back. And there were points where I literally stood up just to make sure. It's like I know I'm going the right direction, but I'm trying not to get beached because like the wind and the current is kind of bringing you in closer to shore. So yeah, it was surprisingly technical for lake swims.
yeah, that was the headline that I got in my one, soundbite race report that I got. But the ferry over in the morning, how are the vibes on the ferry and the competitors there at the start line? Everyone feeling good and ready to take on the day?
I think we talked to Adrian leading up to it. It's interesting to get his point of view, as I think this time he won for the third time in a row. Just kind of getting that. But yeah, I mean, the ferry over was, I think, really chill because there was me, Mark, and Chris just chatting the whole time. And
Nice.
then, obviously Chris is a load head boy, so I'm kind of like on the periphery a lot of times of like, all right, everybody knows Chris, which is kind of fun and kind of fun to watch, but it gives me time to kind of like just get into my own head and just chill for a bit before the race. But I love the app. Like, I'll be honest, like when people ask me about swim, one thing that I love is like the community aspect. It's a very niche, like a smaller sport compared to like, triathlons or running. And so that's something that I do appreciate and why I still probably do swim runs and like it still.
Definitely.
It was also short. Like the ferry ride was like, I was thinking on the ferry ride over, it's like, man, there's so many races where we take a ferry to start, whether it's Casco or whatever else. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Hmm.
oh, we're taking a ferry here. It was like, oh, we're there already. Oh, damn, I can't even keep on this nostalgia,
Hmm.
thought bubble I was
Oh, it's
working on.
quick.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay, nice. And then before we jump into the leg by leg, give us the gear rundown. I know, John, I was crafting. If you were tuning into the Low Tide Boys Instagram stories, you would have saw me crafting a brand new pull buoy that John put to use. So we
It
know
was
you have the Keel
amazing.
Plus pull buoy.
Yep. So I think Chris, I had to ask Chris yesterday what I use again. So I had the Uto, which was a welcome change. I've been racing in the Orno X for the last couple of years,
Warm.
so it was just warm and just, hard, a little bit more harder to run and swim in a lot of ways, like just more tension. The Keel Plus it was the first time I'd used the Keel Plus for a race, and that was a
And I
bit
will
of an
say
adjustment.
that's only because that's the only one I had in the garage because all the other ones are on loan to swimmers across America. So all I had was a fresh in the box, completely
Wow.
virgin, never used
Yeah,
Keel Plus. So I was like, Chipper, can you do the business? And he did. It was
you
primo
slayed
artisan
it.
level
It was
level work
pro.
on
It
It
was
was
my
pro
best.
level,
I,
man.
I will say, I'm done. Not toot my horn too much, but it was my best work. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been training with the keel. It's just called the keel if it's the regular
Yeah.
size.
Yeah,
I snapped that in half a couple weeks ago, and I had the keel S, and I knew that that was just much slower than the bigger ones. So the Frank paddles were awesome. I really like the feel of the Frank paddles on my hands. Just it doesn't it's just not as abrasive. as Some of my other ones that
Yeah.
I've raced in or
yeah,
used before, but yeah, good.
yeah.
Everything
And
was
Nice.
good.
then shoes, you just had like the old school Adidas Terex
Yeah, like
lawnmower.
hundreds of miles on them. They're my lawn mowing shoes, so I had to clean them up a little bit. I didn't train in them. I don't run in them, but I knew that for this race, I needed shoes that would not get too heavy and would do well on when
Yeah.
running
Did you
wet.
wash the
So,
grass stains off before?
well, I went tubing a week before, and so
Okay.
I wore those tubing, and those cleaned it up quite a bit. And
Nice.
back to the horseproof stuff. And those shoes, as soon as I got home, I just left them outside. I don't know if
Yeah,
I
I
can
mean,
wear them
just walk
again.
around, you're just like fertilizing your lawn, just
Oh
like
man,
Wow.
they were,
there's a
yeah.
lot of
Chris, did you rock the VIG this time?
I did rock the Vig. The water temps were advertised in the low 70s. I think that's probably right where it was, 69 to
Whoa,
70, 70-ish. So I brought
comfortable.
the Vig, the kangaroo top, and then I also brought your thermal top just in case the temps were going to dip low. I did bring arm sleeves, ended up not using them. And then, yeah, just my usual, basically like my default race setup: sleeved Vig, kangaroo top, knee-high CEP socks, Adidas Terex, and the Keel Plus with the, of course, the Low Tide Boys edition Frank
Of
paddles.
course. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, happy with the choice. If anything, the only thing I would have done different was bring. So John was using all my stuff. So I was thinking about bringing him a Vig, but then I was like, if he's in the back, I don't know if he's going to get colder because he's not going to lead any swim. So I figured
Yeah,
like the safest choice would have been the Uta, just to hedge any bets.
Yeah,
definitely.
good
Definitely.
choice.
That's the Swiss Army knife swim run suit, if you will. So, okay, we got the kit dialed in. You got the mindset ready to go. You got your sunrise photo. You turned around, saw that thing. Was there a horse lead out or anything? Like a guy with the 10-gallon hat on, like, ah, like on a horse, like to start the race off or anything? Or did just Lars yelling go?
Lars on a bike, I think,
Yeah,
right?
Lars was on a bike,
Okay.
and yeah, I don't know if they have the yeehaw horses. It's more like the
The Clydesdales, the Cloppities.
yeah.
Yeah. Which the cool thing was is they did use the horse to bring all the dry bags up to the finish line. So that was cool, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Wow.
no motorized vehicles, so
Yeah.
gotta
Good to be in the
Two.
horse business on Mackinac Island, that's for sure, it sounds like.
horse shit
Uh,
cleanup business is what you should
Hmm.
be.
there you go. They're always in business there. All right, so the race starts off. Did we shoot off out of the gate? I saw a clip. Adrian was, 50 meters off the front straight away, kind of thing. Where were you all in the mix? How were you kind of looking to attack?
So I will say Adrian had an awesome race. He won the World Series distance. His wife Zoe raced the sprint solo and she won that. So that's pretty cool. Power hitting
Awesome.
couple from Austin. It's great to see them and chat with them. So talking to him actually before was really helpful because he was like, yeah, I years past I've done this in like 3 hours and like 5 to 10 minutes or something like that. I forget what he said.
Wow.
I was like, yes, based on what you said, 4 hours actually seems like a good goal for us. Just like as a something to put out there, what seems reasonable. So the first run was like a mile and a half, but you basically go through town and then you climb up to the fort, and it got pretty steep. I think we were moving well. If anything, maybe it was just like a little bit too spicy, but we started at the front on purpose, partly because I had a feeling that the first swim was just going to be a mess while everyone tries to sort their stuff out. So to kind of be ahead of that a little bit, I think would be good, was good. And
Yeah.
that one we were actively dodging all the poop that was on the road. I was
There's
thinking
that
about
much around that you're
avoiding
like
poop. Yeah.
running
Oh yeah.
around it and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
It was a lot of poop.
That's a lot of poop. I didn't. Wow.
I
Okay.
guess when it's all horses, I mean, this is what it was in olden times. There's just poop everywhere because it's all horse buggies and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like going
Okay.
back in time.
That's a
Yeah.
good. I like the strategy of getting to the swim a little bit ahead of folks. I think Attila Austin's a little bit like this as well. It's kind of when there's a big rush up to it. It's a lot of people getting their tether sorted, but kind of getting it all figured out. And if you can sort of be a little bit ahead of that, you can avoid some of that rigmarole.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
it helps that we had experience, right? So I know from talking to you guys and watching you guys race the importance of a quick transition. And so, like, for that first one, we were ready to go pretty much. Chris
Nice,
did
John.
have to, Chris, though, once we got in the water, had to take a pit stop on
Oh yeah, I had to
the
pee.
first
I had to
swim.
pee so bad.
Oh yeah.
I was like, just give 30 seconds. That's out because I certainly I'm not gonna be able to pee while I'm leading swims.
See, I
So
told you it's hard to do.
I
it
can
is
appreciate
bleeding for
that.
sure. I've certainly have peed like when I'm trailing. But yeah, so we get over this hill, and again, we're moving pretty well. I think we're probably doing like eights or something. Scream down the other side, and basically you can see the water. The sun's rising, epic.
Wow.
Get down to the water. We make sure we're clipped, kind of run through our thing. I'm trying to be extra communicative. I'm like, oh, you got this. You zipped up, like whatever. And then that first swim was really it's kind of like really refreshing in the sense that okay, it's not super cold, like this is actually be manageable, but it was like just the right temperature, I think, to deal with like okay, you're not going to get cold. It's gonna make sure you're not overheating, but it was kind of like in this terms of like weather wise for the day, actually, kind of like Goldilocks, where it's overcast for a bit.
Nice.
You're running through the woods. It's not super hot out yet, but water's cool. There's a breeze. The only thing would have made it better if it was completely overcast. But other than that, it was pretty pristine swim running conditions. So that first swim, I forget how much it was, like 600, 700 yards. That was interesting because that's the first time we're kind of like swimming out or kind of like shuffling ourselves out deep enough so we can swim and trying to figure out what length that was. But the first couple
Mm.
swims were pretty chill in terms of wake or current or anything. Yeah, I thought we moved pretty well. You were on my feet the whole time. We passed a couple of teams and a bunch of solo people. That's kind of where we started kind of already, you know how it goes, like started kind of seeding ourselves. It wasn't long after that we were kind of like in no man's land.
Mhm. It also
You felt
was like we had heard about the fact that you choose how deep you go into the water. And so that was it helped me work on my swim stroke in some ways.
It was a
Your
high elbow
elbow.
pull. Yeah, it was
yeah,
certainly a
no,
high elbow pull.
can't have a weak elbow in those, John. You got to have a nice high elbow there.
Yeah, can't be scraping the Franks that much. Got to take care of those babies too. But yeah, but that first swim, we got out, and I think like I look back at you, and you were, you seemed fine. We started
Yep.
moving. I certainly felt the effort of the first swim, and we basically had to climb right back up the hill we came down. So went a little bit slower. We even walked for a section just to kind of like bring everything back to good range. Yeah, basically from then on. I felt like we just started like once everyone's like heart rate started kind of like stabilizing, then we started like chatting more. We started like not avoiding the poop as much. Like we started to kind of like, like entering the portal, as our dear friend
Yeah.
Annie says, where it's like, hey, we're moving together. And to me, I don't know about you, John, it felt like, I mean, this is what we do every time we go on a training run or on a phone call or whatever. We just started just like chopping it up on
Yeah,
whatever.
shooting the breeze.
Yeah. Whenever there wasn't a hill or a bunch of stairs, we talked. We also got into a rhythm. Like we knew there was plenty of aid stations. I learned something that I tend to forget from Chris is if Chris hadn't been telling me about like, all right, I'm taking a gel, I probably would have bonked pretty hard during the race. He was like, oh, I'm taking something every 20 minutes. And I'm like, 20 minutes? Okay, I'll try it. Took a ton
Nice.
of gels, and I think it saved us in a lot of ways. And also, we didn't have to cap down during the race. There were short enough segments in general, but we
Yeah.
knew that every time we got out of the water, we'd take off our cap and take out our earplugs so we can hear each other, and then just keep moving. Like we were just constantly moving.
Yeah, I think
Nice.
only a couple of the run legs we even like zipped down and opened up for a couple of the longer runs, but mostly like we wore our caps for the first run just
Yeah.
to kind of like warm everything up. But then after that,
Yeah.
I just started taking it off after every swim just to start like cooling it down and yeah, I think like it was interestingly I mean the course itself is awesome, interestingly
Mhm.
technical, some road running, some trail running, like the little rooted kind of up and down. There's like, hey, here's a like a clear path right here, and then like the arrows like get into the bushes. It's like
Yeah.
That's
classic
what we
classic
like as swim
Attila.
runners, though.
Yeah.
Classic Attila. It's like here's a straight
Yeah.
path, let's go through the wooded, the scary path or whatever. And it was great. So even on the second run, again, we're talking about nutrition. My plan is what my plan always is, which is try to take gel every 20 minutes. I did take a caffeine gel 20 minutes before starting, knowing that that I was already gonna spike to kind of like counteract some of that energy loss, and that was
Yeah.
great. I know a little foreshadowing for later. The second caffeine gel I took, I timed that thing. It was like chef's kiss. It
Wow.
was I nailed it. I nailed it. So I was like so happy that once it kicked in, I could tell right when I wanted to. It was anyway. We'll talk about that later. But yeah. So we're on run two, and I'm already like taking gels. I got a couple
Mhm.
90s on me, and the aid stations have precision fuel and hydration, so it's like a home race
Wonderful.
for the low tide boys. So we go into swim two, and again at this point, maybe there's a couple teams ahead of us. Not really seeing that many people behind us. We're moving pretty well. That transition was better than the first because, no one had a pee. We just kind of plod along until it's deep. I checked with John. He says, go, go, go. And we went. I don't know, John, if you, I mean, by the second swim, started feeling like sort of the wind a little bit. So it felt more like you're swimming into a headwind. I don't know how it felt for you.
I never felt like a headwind piece. I felt more of like the waves and just the kind of, it did get a little bit rougher. For me, I was also just getting used to the tether again because it's been a while. Everybody's had it where you throw your arm over and it gets caught in the
Yeah.
tether and then you're kind of flailing and freaking out because you're trying not to slow down. You're trying not to pull the tether too hard. And so that happened more often than I'd like. I was trying to get into a rhythm and it felt good and easy in general. Everything was manageable starting from swim one. Well,
That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
for sure,
And
for
then
sure.
coming out of these swims, I'm sensing a theme about hills or like going up, rather, going
Yeah.
up. This is hills. I also saw a ton of wooden staircases. When did the staircases start introducing themselves? Was it on swim or run 1-3? When did they start popping
It
in,
was
or
it was
straight
it
away?
was I was at the end of run two. That was the first stair section where you had to take the stairs down to go do the
Okay.
swim, and then you kind of ran back to where you started and then take the
Hmm.
stairs up. That was cool because it was early enough in the day, so there was a lot of kind of traffic going both ways. So we saw a lot of teams going down, which was
Nice.
cool. Like the vibes, in case anyone needs to hear this from us, it's like the vibes were great. Everyone's super supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like John was doing a great, he was giving it as good as he was getting it in terms of like cheering people on. It was awesome.
What I
And
do.
yeah, so we go back up the stairs and then we go into I think like an extended kind of trail section, which was fun. We were in the woods for a while, kind of heading towards the north side of the island where there was like a short swim. Again, the runs were interestingly technical, like a lot of like up and down, side to side, kind of like ankle poppers
Mm.
and single track at parts, a little bit more wide open at parts. And yeah, head towards the north of the island to do a shorter swim, which then we start kind of making our way back on the west side of the island. And that's where things got interesting because I was thinking that the currents, the way the wind was going, we're going to have some tailwind, some favorable winds coming back. And we've gotten intel from friends that like, hey, there's a long swim and then there's a really kind of rough swim. And
Mm.
once you get through those, we're basically done. I mean, there's this race has like 5 swims and 7 runs, or 6 swims,
Six swim,
five,
seven
six.
runs.
So we do the short one. I was like, oh, this was actually like, this wasn't as it still felt
Wasn't
like
a
we're,
layup.
but that one was kind of short. And then we get back into the woods heading towards the airport. That's where we saw Marcus. And, Marcus was like on his bike and he was just kind of like, helping be essentially like a race marshal, see what's going on. So he basically went up this hill with us and we're
Hmm.
chatting him up. And if you're following the race on Sunday, you saw that he put like a IG live thing and it was really great to chat with him. Basically caught up on a whole bunch of stuff. But I did tell you this, Chipper, that like knowing that I was on camera, like I burned a match on that because it was kind of like a steady climb. I'm like, well, I mean, he's filming. Come on, we gotta
Right.
go.
You got to look good. John, I will say as well, I saw this clip. I'm like, these boys are moving well. This is looking good. And I'm like, John, was he sandbagging? He's looking pretty decent in this clip. Were you giving it the gas as well, John?
I felt like whenever the hills were a little bit steeper and those stairs, those were kicking my butt. But like just a steady climb, I'm fine. I also have the benefit of coming from Colorado. So whenever I run at sea level,
Yeah.
it feels like I have a superpower. Except for humidity. When Marcus was chatting with us, I'll be honest, when I'm running and it's Chris and Marcus, it's mostly Chris and Marcus talking. So I'm not burning a match. I'm just running. So it's more of those two chatting and me just kind of like moving along.
Yeah. So
That
anyway,
helps.
it's great to see Marcus and catch up. We're
Yeah.
gonna see him again in Sweden in a few days. So we finish this climb. We take a right by this airport, and then we're heading to sort of the last like long swim, like almost a mile swim on the west side of the island, and we're gonna basically like after that a short run. And at that point, the runs are flat because you're running along the bike path. So no more like lake, go up into the mountain and then come down. It's much more runnable for that section anyway. So we thought we'd probably be a little bit faster because it's flat and straight basically. So I basically take my second caffeine gel, knowing okay, we're gonna be in this swim, and I want it to kick in to basically last like halfway through the long swim and then through the end of the short, punchy, exposed hard swim.
Mhm.
I took it. It kicked in. I'm telling you exactly where I've never been so
Wonderful.
happy with like a gel timing. Like I felt like I just freaking nailed it. I was so happy. But we're on this bluff. We start heading down. I look and I see the ocean. I mean, the ocean, the lake. It might as well have been an ocean because it's whitecaps. It's there's a lot of stuff happening, and I'm looking
Uh-oh.
down. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm like, fudge. I gotta get John through this swim. Like, this is gonna be a super hard swim. I can just tell it's gonna be a super hard swim. So I'm
Yeah.
like, we got this. I'm just gonna exude confidence. I'm gonna exude like, hey, calm, assertive energy. We got this. Let's just go. Like, just like any other swim, we're gonna get in and do it. John, I don't know how you felt when you saw the water, but I'm curious what your take on it was.
I'll be honest, I didn't bother me much. Like I didn't think, oh man, like I think one thing that we talked about that was different for this race is like every other race I've done, I've known exactly the distances and like it was written on my
Mm.
paddles and stuff. I honestly went into this being like, all right, I got 7 runs, 6 swims. I think they're gonna be around this. And so we get down there and I didn't really start thinking that this was gonna be a lot until we started swimming. Up until that point, I
Yeah.
was kind of oblivious.
That's a good point
Okay.
because it was like that for sure in terms of like, hey, I wanted to have a sense of where sort of the long stuff was, but
Yeah,
does it really matter if it's 900 or 1200, right?
yeah.
Like it's almost
You
like,
got, you got
okay,
to do it
here's a
anyway,
shorty
you
run,
know.
got to get it done, right? So I knew this was the longest swim of the day, basically, and I was
Hmm.
like, okay, that's enough information. It's more than 1,000 yards. It'll
Yeah.
take 20 minutes, however long it takes. But when we get to it, that swim was actually extremely technical. The lake kind of wave where it's really unpredictable. Like my hand got caught a couple times. I almost lost a
Yeah.
paddle once, and it was just very much like if the
Wow.
bottom wasn't so clear, like I wouldn't felt like we were moving. But because you could see the stones underneath you kind of moving down, that's the only way I could really sense I was making forward progress. To the point where it was so choppy that I had a hard time sighting. And yeah, we're going parallel to the shore, but I'm also not trying to like swim any longer than I absolutely have to. Because at
Yeah.
that point, I basically been sighting to my left, which I can sight bilaterally, but I've been sighting to my left exclusively for 3 miles at that point. My right shoulder was definitely like taking the burden of just, kind of like always breathing to one side. So, I'm not trying to swim any. I mean, I know that's kind of our philosophy, like no extra yardage, if you can help
Yeah.
it. And there was a couple points where I stood up because you could, and we are kind of getting beached anyway because we are kind of getting brought closer to shore, just to kind of see like how far we had to go. And John, and kind of give you a rest and kind of just check in, like you good, and you'd be like, go, 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 just like
That was basically me, man. I was like,
I was
let's
like, keep
go.
going. What are we
it's
waiting
like
for?
let's
What
get
are we
this.
stopping for?
Keep
Yeah.
going,
So
Chris.
I'm picturing Chris working hard and then me, those videos of like the otters on their back, just kind of like playing with stuff. That was me, like throughout
I
the whole
love.
swim.
John was in passenger mode. I love it.
I mean, I was working hard. I was working hard. I would say that was probably one of the harder swims that, if not the hardest swim I've ever led in terms of just like everything that was being thrown. I mean, it was very washing machiney. Like, I could see people getting really seasick on a swim like that.
Remember what Adrian told you about that swim?
Yeah, he got flipped over.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, if he's getting flipped over, there's no hope for us mere mortals. But hey,
Yeah.
we got
Don't stand
through
a
it.
chance.
We took a really aggressive line. We
Yeah.
got through that swim. Oh, fun fact. So John's parents and wife and child met us at the beginning of that swim. So we're swimming this super long swim, and it's like right along this path. And I'm swimming and siding to the left. I'm just seeing them just casually walking at the
It's like
same spot
Chicago
that we're
triathlon
going, just
where
like
people are,
super, super casual. Our
That's
buddy
pretty
Mark took
funny.
some videos of
Stroller,
us.
baby in the stroller and everything, and you're getting tossed around, and they're like, oh, drinking the coffee, pushing the stroller. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was super, super funny. So we finished that swim, and I'm like, sweet, we got one more hard kind of like swim. It's
Mhm.
shorter. And I'm telling you, John, I was like, okay, the next one's probably going to be like this. It's just less. And we do this run. I think it was like not even a mile, maybe like a mile and a half
Yeah.
along the bike path. So pretty flat, pretty straight shot, basically getting to the last swim. And that run, actually, maybe that run was like 2 miles. And I'm like, as we're getting close, I'm like, hey, let's back it off a little bit so I can just like get something back in the tank. As I mentioned, the gel that I took kicked in about a third of the way through that long swim. So that kind of gave me like, I feel the energy. I just all of a sudden had like a little bit more to give. But because that swim
Nice.
was so much, by the time we're getting to swim, I was like, okay, I want to make sure I get us the other side because at that point I'm kind of gelled out. probably have like 30 minutes of activity left. It's just kind of like, oh, is it worth to take more fuel at this point? Because it's not going to kick in anyway. We get to the last swim. It's actually not that bad.
No.
It was really just that really long one that was bad. So this one, for some reason, wasn't as choppy as advertised. So I felt like we got through that one pretty quick. And that led us to the last run, which started by going up these stairs. Dude, I was telling Chipper, I mean, my heart was in my throat. Like I
Yeah,
was puffing and puffing going up that thing.
yeah,
It wasn't
So, I
yeah.
mean,
He
stairs,
had,
there's
he had
no
to be like,
avoiding.
take a
Your
step.
heart rate is
Like,
just jacked to the moon. There's no
I
no
think just
avoiding
from
it.
like going from horizontal to then you're just like climbing all the way up,
Yeah.
like my heart was in my
yeah.
throat.
And
But
we
at
didn't
that
stop
point,
at the aid station at all on that one. That like we were like, let's get this done.
yeah, let's get this. There was one last water stop there, and we just like last run, anything's possible. We got up those stairs, and then we're basically just like cutting through like the inland of the island to get to the fort to the finish. We were just like chatting, talking about
Countdown.
olden times where like, oh man, if this was like even 3 years ago, we would have been doing this way faster. That kind of brought us towards the finish. Something funny, we were pretty close to our 4 hour. John, why don't you tell the story?
Oh yeah, yeah. So like there's signs. There's a sign. Like, I think we're coming up on a sign that says, "Oh, the fort is in a quarter of miles," and we're like, "Oh, well, we have like 3 minutes," and we're like
To
running.
get
We're
to
like,
4 hours. So
You're
we're
like
like
doing the
4 hours.
three
math.
hours and 50 some odd minutes at this
Like, we
point.
can do it. We can do it. We can see it. And then we're like, nah, nah. Let's just keep this pace going. This is manageable. Nobody's in front of us. Nobody's behind us. Like, there's no like Seabiscuit kind of
Yeah.
tendency. And so we're running, and then all of a sudden, like we see it, and then it curves over to the left. And then we're like, oh, we're going around. And so we're going around. But then it takes us on a trail. And it really felt like they were taking us in circles in this one little area of the forest before it popped us out on the finish. And I'll be honest, that was probably the only time where I was just like, screw this shit. Like we right there. Like, why are they
It was,
making us do that?
it was super funny. It was like, oh, we need to add an eighth of a mile somehow. So
Yeah.
let's have you do this little loopy thing. And it was super funny. So when we were talking about, oh, yeah, should we do it? We basically had a minute. And it's like, hey, man, you want to go for it? And I was like, I don't know, man, a minute. I mean, because you could almost see the finish because you could see the arch, but we had to kind of go around. And I was like, don't worry about it. Let's just go. And so then we get into the section. I'm really glad we didn't drop it down because we would have been pissed.
Yeah.
We got into this section. We're like, man, there's like 3 minutes left. Like, what the heck? Like, just burn a match for nothing. Kind of funny. Speaking of the Seabiscuit complex, that's another thing we were talking about on that run. It's like, I remember telling you, it's like, oh, I'm really glad we don't see a team ahead of us because at that point I was pretty gassed and just trying to get this thing to the, across the finish line. But I
Yeah.
was like, I'm glad I didn't see anyone because there was just no temptation to just like try to hunt someone down.
Mhm.
But yeah, we come to the finish, beautiful location, like the lake in the background. It was awesome, like just a classic Ötillö kind of finish line experience.
Awesome.
Good enough for second place men's team. I think we were fourth place team
Mhm.
overall. The other men's team that beat us are like a couple 20-year-olds, so it's fine.
I mean, on run one, like going up the
Yeah,
hill, it was like, all right,
It's like, oh, okay.
see you
You
guys.
there
guys
goes
have
that.
fun up there.
Yeah.
There goes that
Yeah.
goal. Yeah, but really cool race. The most spectator friendly swim run that I've been a part of. And the one that's like, if you want your family to kind of see what swim running is all about, like this one just gives it to you in spades. Awesome race, awesome course marking. Everything was great. Aid station was great. So, top marks for Ötillö, Lars, Aaron, JR, and the whole crew that part of it was flawless, I thought.
Yeah, I agree. I had a blast. It was beautiful. Even if they don't do the racing, it'd be awesome just to even do like a training weekend up there. It's just perfect for just kind of going and hanging out.
Yeah. So before we get to final thoughts, Chipper, I mentioned this to you that I was like, it's a bummer this race is going away. I think the main problem with this race is the date. Like having it the week before Attala is just like problematic when, a lot of your diehards are doing that race. So, it's
Yeah.
kind of hard to stop over on Mackinac the week before you're going to take this huge trip. So, if there's another date you could do it. Again, I think this race has a lot going for it in terms of like, yeah, it's kind of out there in Michigan, but it's not like it isn't easy to, I mean, you don't have to do too crazy stuff to get there. You just got to like rent a car and you can drive there. It's a shame this race is going away. And I'm kind of bummed that that, I'm glad I got to do it once. I'm bummed, Chipper, that you didn't get to do it because I thought you would have dug it. Like there was a couple times, even during the race where I was like, oh man, Chipper would have loved this. Oh man, he would totally crush this one. The reason we didn't do it is because we had young kids, and then the 2 years we're doing our Ötillö builds, we weren't going to do Mackinac the week before. In that respect, it's a bummer that it's going away, and I think I'd like to see some way of making sure this kind of race stays alive because it was good.
Yeah, Chipper, it was like that was the one thing though during the race. It's like Chipper this, Chipper that, oh Chipper that.
Wow.
Gosh,
Really?
man,
I wish Chipper was leading these swims.
that was
I
definitely
wish
part
Chipper
of
could
it.
have left the swims.
Yeah, I
My
wish
shoulders
Chipper was here to
hurt.
like take some of these or all of them. Yeah. So yeah, it was an awesome race. I mean, we're
Yeah.
kind of dipping into final thoughts, but John, what did you think of the weekend and the race itself?
Well, if I'm gonna retire from swim run, this is a high note for sure.
Don't be
It's nice
talking
to
that.
I
carry.
thought I brought you back from the ledge a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is a rumor I heard as well that maybe you were retiring, but I don't think that's happening.
Well, to be honest, I think
I don't
Chris
want to see it
started the
happen.
rumor because I don't remember ever saying I was retired. I just was like done for a while. I don't know. Who knows? I still, final thought is I love talking to people about swim run who have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. Like it's so funny to be like, what do you do? And I'm like, well, all of the things about swim run are just so funny. And it like forces people, like yourselves included, to not take yourselves too seriously. So my final thought is, yeah, I almost took this call from in my sauna with all this stuff to be like, all right, I'm ready for Austin, guys. But I'm not committing to anything else through the rest of the year.
Yeah, I thought we
You already put it out there.
We'll see. Addison swimming with somebody else next month, running with somebody else. I found out today.
Oh, you didn't know that?
So
Oh,
I didn't
I'm
know
sorry, I
that.
didn't tell you.
No, yeah. So apparently he's swim running with somebody else at Orcas, but I'm sure he'll do much better than when we did it.
I don't know.
So
I thought we did pretty great, and I think given our lack or our undertrained status, I think
Yeah.
we moved well all day. I
Mhm.
think we held pace. We
Yep.
didn't like totally like decompensate, and we kind of like crossed the finish line spent. Like I know I was sore, on the last run.
what
I'm
more
like,
can
yeah,
you ask for?
Yeah.
you're like my left ankle. I'm like, oh, your left glute. I'm like my right quad. My right shoulder. Just
Just a couple
comparing
old guys
what we're
complaining.
going to be complaining about later. Yeah, final thoughts. As I mentioned in the beginning, I think like, one of the greatest things that Swim Run has to offer is the team aspect. And I think for anyone
Mhm.
out there who races solo, if you got like a really good training buddy, like I'm telling you, you're gonna have fun because sharing it with
Yeah.
someone, I mean, again, Chipper, that's what you and I mean, we've done these things like 20 some odd times together. Like it's the fun, like the fun is why we do it. It's fun to
Yeah.
do it together. It's fun to do it with someone who you care about, who you know is gonna like, the thing about John, same thing with you, Chipper, is like, I know you're gonna give me everything you got. I know that we're gonna get through this and like having that confidence and being able to share it in this way, it's just it's what's great about it.
Yeah. You're
Absolutely.
not running away from the person because they're tied to you. So
It's true,
That's
they
true.
can't.
there you
Can't do it.
They
Well,
can't.
sounds like the high marks and Mackinac ending with a bang if it was in fact its final year in existence. But great job, guys. Had no doubt that you would go out there and have a great time. Way to leave it all out there. And John is looking for a partner for Austin. So if you want to do swim run Austin in November, John's available, but he
go.
won't lead swims.
That is very true.
Anything else to put in your partner wanted to add, John?
I have not talked to my current partner about it. So
Oh,
Amanda,
pending
my actual
approval.
partner, yeah.
Pending approval.
They get
My wife is
clearance.
probably like upstairs being like, "What is he saying?"
What is he
But
signing
no,
up for?
I'm excited to do more. We'll see when and where.
Nice. Nice. Well, that sounds like an unretirement to me. So mission
There you go.
accomplished.
There we go. Mission accomplished.
That's it for this week's episode. Thanks so much for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and leave a wet rating or review, since that's the best way to help other people discover the show and the sport of swim run.
Check out our website, lowtideboys.com. That's boys with a Z, for swim run resources, including gear guides, tips, how-to videos, and so much more. Make sure to check out our meme page at The Low Tide Boys on Instagram. If you have any questions or suggestions for the show, send us a DM or email us at lowtideboys@gmail.com.
We'd like to thank Riding Easy Records for our show music, and of course our wives for their support and tolerance of our swim run and other activities.
Lots of activities.
Lots of activities.
Finally, you can support our efforts on Patreon. Until next time, get out there and go for a swim.
Then a run.
And then a swim.
Then another run.
Then another swim.
Then run some more.
Just keep going.
Let's go.
And then stop at some point because,
And fuel. Don't forget to fuel.
Gotta fuel
Of
too.
course, yes.